Good morning, traders. TGIF. Today is Friday, June 10th. My name is Charles, and this is your Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, what are we looking at here today? I would call this panic. Panic in the disco. Somebody last night made the comment with the way that the market sold off at the end of the day and never came back to retest the balance area low, that perhaps it was like, insider information, a little bit of front running on the consumer price numbers this morning. And I tend to think conspiracy theories like that are silly most of the time, but this person may have been right. And the reason I say that is just because it shocks me that the overnight didn't try to backfill any of these single prints from yesterday at all. They just rotated around right at the lows, waiting for those numbers to come out. So that is pretty bearish as far as I can see. So I would say I'm coming in this morning with sort of a neutral to bearish tone. Obviously, we've left a lot of single prints behind. Here in the AM just over the last hour or two, and then from yesterday as well. Those single prints do need to be backfilled. At some point, the market has to come back up and refill those levels, looking for resistance at the balance area low. But it doesn't necessarily have to be today. So with everybody opening up their brokerages this morning and seeing that their accounts are down, there's going to be some bearish moods out there, and we do have a lot of weakness that we left behind in this previous area of balance that we were in before a few weeks ago. So this was the big push that broke us out of the larger downtrend we had been in, but it was built on weakness, right? All the lows were weak one after another, and that is a sign that they will need to be repaired. They will need to be backfilled. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to me to test at least the very first of those levels to the downside at 39.10 today. Looking for support there. We got a little bit of support just above, looking at the cumulative volume. We're the largest node of volume traded at 39.24. But if that breaks, I think we start repairing these weak references one by one that we've got below us. Just stepping back to look at the daily really quick. We already missed the excess, so balance often leads to excess. When you break out of a balance area, you often get excess in the direction of the breakout, at least the volatility of the balancing area. But we have already done that. So we missed the breakout trade. If you didn't happen to be in it before it broke yesterday, you're not going to get your chance now. So the way I see it, the higher probability is that we either rotate around today or that we try to go lower. But if we do head back up, I will look for resistance at the balance area low. But all in all, I suspect a sideways or down day, just because so many people are going to be feeling bearish this Friday morning. Of course, the first thing we're looking for when the market opens is a counter auction to the upside. This is a very, very big gap to the downside. Gaps this large often don't fill on the first day. But we would expect some kind of attempt, some kind of push to the upside as the overnight traders take profits. If we get resistance before we can fully fill the gap back up to yesterday's low, we recognize that as a gap and go, and we'll be looking for the market to go lower. So a gap this large, pretty bearish, less likely to fill. And the market is open. Man, look at those ticks. Negative 1,500. I don't know if I've ever seen them that low. How low can you go? All right, so first order of business, gap fill. How much of it can they get? If they cannot fully fill the gap, it is bearish for continuation to the downside. Good morning, Philip, Scooball, Jeremy Jones, Arcaleon, David Glass, The Shaw, Chillin' with Dylan, T-Bay, Cyrus, Jack, MW, Rev, Blue Shirt. Scooball, who is buying the liquidation? Well, there's going to be a lot of traders that are looking for a reversion to the mean trade. They'll recognize all these single prints, and they'll be looking for the market to try to trade back up. But I suspect they're not going to get it. Not today. It's worth noting, we have 3-week references below, still in need of repair. Market came all this way. Might as well just repair those pesky weak references while we're down here. Okay, so we're pushing below the overnight low. That is a little bit bearish to see. So very, very little counter auction to the upside. Very small attempt to fill the gap. Making this a gap and go. We're now pushing below the overnight low, which is bearish. So those two in combination make me feel bearish. That doesn't mean we won't try to fill the gap once more. We do need some kind of counter auction to the upside to give these ticks a chance to get back to the zero line. But just the way we've opened already feels bearish to me. So I think we are heading lower. All right, so now we're looking for resistance at 39.45. A test of the half back there. If not there, just above at the opening price, 39.49. Caffeine, good morning to you. Elliot, welcome. John Lash is here. Good morning. Arthur is here. Overlord 3000, hi to you. Bossman, good morning. Chirp is here. Mehdi, hey to you. Percy, hello. Sean, good morning. Novice Trader, good morning to you. Rockingham is here. Anita, welcome. Pavel, good morning. Symbols in Mandarin I can't say. Good morning to you. Mad Cat, welcome. All right, same thing on the NQ as the ES. Massive gap down. Pushed below that overnight low. Bearish to see. So now we're looking for resistance at 12.060, the halfback. And if not, just above around 12.074 for continuation to the downside. All right, ES testing the halfback. Okay, not much resistance there. Probably going to test that opening price. 39.50. Looking for resistance. Monsieur Gaylord, hello to you. Crispy, hola. Michael says, just subscribe to the brigade. Welcome. We're happy to have you. All right, so that was resistance at the halfback. Bearish to see. Back below the overnight low. Bearish to see. The bulls have their chance with a counter auction, and they are not getting much for it. Remember, when the ticks get back to the zero line, that's when you find out, are there really more buyers or sellers in the market? As a lot of the buyers here will just be shorts covering, taking profits. All right, we're testing this node right at the opening price for resistance here, right as the ticks get back to the zero line. So if they keep pumping, if the ticks keep pushing above the zero line, we know the market is going for a gap fill. And if they get slapped back down, well, that's the resistance. All right, so once again, resistance at the opening price, bearish to see. Crispy, what does the tick represent? Is that like a momentum leading indicator? Well, not leading, but it's the closest to it as you're going to get. It's the volume going into up stocks versus the volume going into down stocks. Something like that. I forget exactly how it's measured. But anyway, it just it shows you whether there's more buyers or sellers in the market. So if it's below the zero line, there's more sellers. If it's above the zero line, there's more buyers. And if you see it moving in a certain direction, so like just now it moved lower, so that's a sign that more sellers are piling on right now at this moment. So it's not leading in terms of, it doesn't show you what's happening beforehand, but it literally shows you in the moment, are there more people selling or buying in that exact moment? So that's why I say if price is pushing up into a key resistance based on volume, right? At the same moment that the ticks are pushing up towards that zero line, that gives us a great opportunity to see, are there new buyers trying to take the market higher, or is the sellers just going to slap them back down once again? And obviously we're getting that slap. So it's no good on its own, but if you use it in correlation with other signals, it can be a confirmation in real time. Gunk, I don't understand how there can be more buyers than sellers. Doesn't every transaction have a buyer and a seller? Or do you just mean aggressive buyer sellers? No, I mean literal buyer sellers. So the way it works is based on price. So yes, for every transaction, there is a buyer and a seller, but there is a bid-ask spread between the two, and that's what causes the market to move. So it's, are there more buyers at this? So let's say, 39.37. Are there more buyers at 39.37 or more sellers? If there's more buyers, the price will move up to 39.37.25. And then ask the question there, are there more buyers or sellers? If there's more buyers, it'll move up to 37.50. If there's more buyers, 37.75, and so on and so forth until there's more sellers, right? So say at 3,800, there's more sellers than buyers. Well, then it moves back down. So there is literally, you are literally measuring the number of buyers versus the number of sellers at each price, at each tick. Scooball says, not much emotions in this market today. Some liquidation incoming. I like where your mind's at. Who are these buyers that are buying this right now? The market-generated information has been giving us bearish signals one after another. Who are most likely the participants who are buying against market-generated information? Probably the weaker hands. What will it take to squeeze those weak buyers? Some sweet, sweet liquidation. Probably if this support right here around 24 breaks, we'll get a pop lower towards those weak references down there. 39.10. TV, is this a gap and go orderly liquidation day? It's too early to say, but I don't think, beyond 38.76. I don't know how much further down we'd have to go because there's a lot of support back in here from a few weeks ago. So to my mind, it's really more of a question of, when do we go rotational and just grind around down here? But the gap and go is very real. And that is very bearish. So for the moment, the bears are in control. Big Ray got me wondering if we can see a Black Friday. Ooh. I guess if ever there was a way to start one, a massive gap down would be the way. Somebody take a screen grab of that comment. That may come in handy later if it were to turn out to be true. All right. Well, they're really fighting to defend this low right now. When it breaks, we should get a push lower. All right, initial balance to the downside. That is bearish. We're pushing into some previous support with this node, this high volume node right here. So we'll look for some buyers for a bounce. If we don't get it, or we get the bounce, we then look for resistance to head back down to repair 39.10. The first of these old weak references we'd left behind. We're, of course, now starting to liquidate some of those buyers from earlier. All right, well, the market getting itself oversold once again on the ticks. That would require a combination of panic selling and new money selling together. But we should be running out of sellers here. We should be getting a little bit oversold. So I'm looking for a bounce after we repair this weak reference at 39.10. All right, there's the repair of the first week reference. So we got two more to go. One down at 94 and one at 78. But we got some support in here from the previous time we were trading around in this area. So I don't think we'll go in a straight line. I could see a bounce back up towards 25 for resistance, then lower. Giving the ticks a second to cool off. Man, these sellers are relentless. More pain, more pain. Well, you gotta love a day when the market is panic selling on tons of bad news all at once. Because you know the people who are buying when there's blood in the streets. Xavier, please, do you think statistics would be helpful in this case? What do you mean statistics? Do you mean like the number of times we've had this big a sell-off by this time in the morning on a Friday in the summertime or something like that? I'll just stick with price action. The market-generated information tells you everything you need to know. Is price going up or down? Is there a little bit of volume or a lot? Are the internals confirming or contradicting the price action? That'll tell you where it's going. Rockingham, potential to take out the May 20 lows. Oh, not today. I mean, it's not impossible for the market to do it, but definitely not today. If the selling continues into next week, it is certainly a target because it is a poor reference. But I think the bottom for today would be around 70, 38.70. At least according to my crystal ball. All right, it looks like we are getting some seller exhaustion here. Tick starting to recover a little bit. So we're looking for resistance up at about 39.24 for continuation lower. Real quick, if you have not yet pushed that thumbs up button, I really would appreciate it if you'd give me a quick like. It really, really helps with the algorithm. We only had 60 likes yesterday. I nearly cried myself to sleep. So yeah, if you don't mind pushing that thumbs up, it's a great way. It just tells the algorithm that if the algorithm sends people here and then they push that like button, then it knows it should keep sending more and more people here. So it helps out with the growth of the channel. I really appreciate it. The other thing I wanted to mention, because we're starting to get so many people and so many comments, if you have a question that is specifically for me, if you could put at Pirate Traders at the beginning, that would make it easier for it to stand out at me. Whereas if it's just a general question you're throwing out at the chat, you can just ask it like normal. Lord Mac, is it possible to find new buyers given how overextended we are on the move? Responsive buy activity? So the complicated answer to your question is yes, but we don't know when, right? Right now, at this moment, the sellers are in charge of the market. So there are more sellers than buyers, and they're getting what they want, which is the sellers want to keep pushing the market lower. So until those sellers run out, the buyers can't take control of the market and start pushing the market higher. So we have to first wait for exhaustion from the sellers. Then we will definitely get some kind of bounce because of this big of a move. But for the moment, intraday, timing it will be very tricky. It's best to just stick with our normal signals, which is a trend. So when we print the C period, if it continues lower, we know we are one time framing lower, and we just keep an eye on the highs each 30-minute period. As long as we continue to make lower highs, the sellers continue to remain in control of the market, and only once we get a higher high on a 30-minute candle will we then assume that the buyers can take a stab at retracing it a little bit. Every minute of every day, I'm asking myself, what is the market trying to do? And how good of a job is it doing? Right now, it's trying to sell off, and it's doing a great job. So first, we need to see the signals that it's having trouble. It's running out of steam. Then we look for the opposite. And of course, what would be the signal we're running out of steam? If we come back up to test the resistance and we don't get any resistance here, then we know, oh, the downside is out of steam. They're looking to take it back up. But right now, we haven't even come back up to test this resistance. This is still just new sellers piling on. Michael, would you look for a test of the 3,800 lows next week? Perhaps a relief bounce into the close of the cash session? Let's just zoom out and look at the daily. Yeah, I mean, depending on where we close today, I would expect, next week we get some kind of bounce looking for resistance. But there's so much resistance above. I mean, the momentum is to the downside. I think that is in play. I'd wait for a bounce of resistance, though, before I really targeted getting that low. But it's certainly possible. It's a bear market, When it was a bull market, they kept making new higher highs, and we couldn't believe it, but we just accepted it and went, pump it even further. Now they're doing that with the lows. Lord Mac, we're at a previous month's value area low. If you check the monthly profile, I don't really look at monthly profiles. I feel like it's a little bit too much data compiled together. I figure I can see that on just a regular daily chart. Chris, sound like you're looking for longs, Charles? No, no way. Never would I ever. I mean, unless we get cessation of one time framing. Why did I say 24 is potential resistance? Just because of that high volume node. You see where the arrow is? It's just back when we were trading in this area a few weeks ago. That's where the most volume traded. So if they liked trading there then, they'll probably like trading there again. Lee, did we find a bottom for today? No, I don't think so. We haven't even pushed back up to test that resistance, guys. Don't even start getting bullish until we've tested the resistance. There's just more sellers lurking, waiting for a chance to get in at a better rate, at a better price. All right, so with the printing of the C period here, well, we just created a poor low, so we're likely to get a push away from that poor low, but then come back and repair it. Repairing it would begin the process of trending lower. Please, if I can offer you any piece of advice, don't fight the trend. If the market starts to trend lower, either trade with the direction of the trend, meaning short, or just step aside. Because we've got 2 more weak references below, and this is a very, very bearish market. So once again, I'm looking for resistance around 39.15 and 39.24 to head back down and repair that poor low. If it gets repaired, we will be one time framing lower. That is a trend. That is a sign that the momentum is still going. We've got 1 week reference in need of repair at 94 and another one down at 76. And then I'd be looking for buyers to step in around 70. With that, I shall bid you all farewell. If you are not a member of the brigade, there's a link in the description. You can join for just $10 a month. You get to hang out all day. Or you could take the e-course this weekend. If you've been watching the market trade this morning and saying to yourself, Charles, how the heck did you know when we were all the way up here that you should be bearish? Please tell me. That's a magic trick I wish I understood. Well, that's because of the two-way auction process, my friends. I knew what a gap and go looks like. I knew what pushing below the overnight low meant. I knew what resistance was. And so I knew where we were going. And you can too. Check out that market profile e-course. Otherwise, I will see you here on Monday morning. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend. If you're in the brigade, let's ride.